CNN has unironically published an article titled "Joe Rogan's Use of the N-Word is Another January 6th Moment." Look, for everything that January 6th was and wasn't, it was bad. It was a riot. People lost their lives. CNN is this desperate. It's just so sad how desperate they are. But it shows you that the Joe Rogan controversy is far from over. It's been ongoing now for 2 months? And it's never going to be over because Joe Rogan's a big fish. He dominates these here parts, and CNN needs a Trump figure, a target to go after. This is why I was critical, or I should say I disagreed with Joe Rogan's apology. And I have to say I was, to a degree, correct about what was going to happen. By apologizing for what I understand why Joe felt bad about these videos, but you need to understand there's one thing that I think Joe Rogan probably should apologize for, and not even necessarily, and it was his Planet of the Apes story, which I think was bad. It's a bad story. I understand why people are offended by that. It's bad. But Joe apologized for this compilation of out-of-context clips of him saying the N-word in a variety of contexts, mostly describing things. He never called anyone the N-word. That's a fact. The Young Turks had the same thing happen to them. Hassan Piker, someone pulled a video of him saying the N-word. And it's funny how their response is, yeah, but that's out of context. As if the clips of Joe weren't. It's because these people don't care. This is why I get so frustrated when Joe comes out and apologizes. Here's what I said was going to happen. If he apologizes, several things. One, he pours fuel on the fire, reignites the story, adding a reason to keep talking about it. Second, Joe takes a small fringe element talking about this, and they had been for a while, and he amplifies it through his own voice on his show and makes sure everybody knows. Maybe there's a good reason for him to apologize then, because he wants everyone to know. But the issue is you're only apologizing to bad faith individuals who are manipulating context, lying, cheating, and stealing, and your fans know you're not a bad dude and they don't care. Aside from this absolutely psychotic article that came up just the other day, which I just find absolutely hilarious, and I will mention CNN changed the headline saying shrugging off Joe Rogan's N-word use is dangerous. Where do you think we're at right now? Let me ask you. You've seen the headline, so there's some information there. I'm not, trying to build too much suspense, but what did I say was going to happen? It's like that. The way I described it was in a previous segment. Ivan Vanko in Iron Man 2. He's in jail in Monaco. Tony Stark walks in. You love the Marvel references, don't you? And he's like, you lost, I win. And Vanko is like, you lose. And he was like, I'm not the one sitting in prison. And he was like, when you make God bleed, the blood will be in the water and the sharks will come. The point is, when Joe Rogan is forced to issue 2 statements addressing bad faith smears against him, he's not, when they get him to. Do you think they're going to stop now? They're like, it's working. No. Okay? When you're in the battleship, the Star Cruiser, and they're like, you focus all fire on the left shields. And they're like, the shields are breaking now. And then everyone fires. No one's going to stop. They're not going to be like, victory is at hand, gentlemen. Turn around and go home. We're done here. No way. The culture warriors are going to be like, we found his weakness. Go for it. And that's what's happening. Check this out from Newsweek. This story just from this morning. Joe Rogan slammed over video showing podcast guest discussing black people. That's one way to title it. Specifically, they're saying it was Joey Diaz. I believe it was Joey. Let me see. They say on Sunday, Patriot Take shared a clip showing the broadcaster laughing as Cuban-born comedian Joey Diaz spoke about black people crowding a Popeyes chicken restaurant in an upscale LA neighborhood. Here's my understanding of the clip. The clip is 10 years old or so. It's Joe Rogan hanging out on a live stream, and it appears that he's talking about how people got mad at him over comments he made about, him saying black people talking on he saw a black guy talking on a phone, holding the phone in front of his face or something. And then they got mad at him for bringing that up. Joey Diaz makes a comment about Popeye's chicken and stuff like that. For this, Joe Rogan's being slammed as racist. Or once again, they're trying to reignite it. Now, Newsweek's pretty good, and you know, we've had Batya Unger Sargon on the show, and she does their opinion. I believe she's opinion editor, and she's fantastic. But she's liberal, but she's just waking up to all the craziness that's going on. I think Newsweek does a good job, but it just goes to show how the media is easily manipulated. The first video of Joe that went viral was pulled up by Patriot Takes. It's a propaganda piece for a super PAC. Its goal is to get Democrats elected or whatever. So they take this existing old video that had already been around for years, nobody cared about, and they start pushing it. Media, propagandists and activists start playing it up, and then Joe issues an apology, making the video 10 times bigger, but also saying, hey, everybody, I want you to look at Patriot Takes. Look at Patriot Takes over here. This is why you don't address this stuff when it really has nothing to do with your body of work that you're currently producing. Joe's already talked about this stuff. He's already said he doesn't want to say that or whatever. And now here he is being forced into this position. Joe, by apologizing, amplifies this group who now comes out and they saved it. Of course they did. Of course they did. Tabitha Southey says, again, Rogan's racism and misogyny are not a bug. They're a feature. I don't even think she knows what that means, to be honest. His entire success rests on how accessible he makes these things to casual racist and bigotry user. Joe Rogan is the graphical user interface of hate. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. The video is extremely old. Look, Joe has hair in it. But of course, this is the point. When here's my opinion. When Patriot Takes put up this video of Joe, I'm sure they held back portions, because here's what you do. If you get 10 documents, right? Say they're damning documents implicating a politician. You don't just release them all at once and say, there it is, everybody have a good day. Look at what Project Veritas does. What you do is you release one that gets a little murmuring going on. Then you release a big one and everyone goes, whoa, wait, what's going on here? Then you wait. Then once everybody's slowly settling down, you drop the hammer. Boom. The big revelation. You guide people in and then smack them with the bigger stories. This video going viral. Joe addresses it. Patriot Takes probably has way more because Joe Rogan's produced almost 2,000 shows over 10 years. Of course, they will have more. And when they take the first video out of context, of course they'll take other videos out of context. It's funny because, I've thought about what's the point of archiving these old shows the way we do on YouTube? Like these videos I've made, I have a bunch of videos where I say things I don't believe anymore. About gun control, for instance, that's a good example. My opinions change. But you can go back and look at, cultural or contemporary context and then make someone seem completely irrational. One of the things I'd said in the past was I was talking specifically in context about the New York Times. This is one of the things they try to do to me. I said something like, I trust Dave Rubin more than I trust the New York Times. But I was specifically talking about a single story. So there was an issue of the New York Times wrote some story. And then I said something like, am I going to believe this? I don't trust the New York Times. And I was like, I'd be more inclined to trust Dave Rubin. I wasn't saying that in every circumstance, always, Dave Rubin is more trustworthy than the New York Times. I wasn't saying that in every single circumstance, the New York Times is completely untrustworthy. I think the New York Times has a lot of credible news, and I think they're heavily biased, so take it for what it is. But if you were to say something like, an article came out saying Dave Rubin did a backflip. Dave Rubin says he did a front flip. And then I said that, and then said, look, I'm not going to trust the New York Times. I don't trust them. I would trust Dave Rubin over the New York Times. You understand how you can take that statement and then make it seem like I'm saying I will never trust any news from this outlet when I'm not saying it. I mean, Right Wing Watch did it with my comments on the Second Amendment just recently. Why would I apologize for something I did not say? Joe Rogan didn't use the N-word. He said it in context related to comedy specials, documentaries, and describing circumstances. But here we go. Now you've got CNN. This is just... Man, look at this one. Let me read a little bit of this CNN article. This is hilarious. The podcaster Joe Rogan did not join a mob that forced lawmakers to flee for their lives. Oh my, you know what, man? I find it funny, but never have I wanted to punch my monitor more than now. It's my inanimate object that I'm not going to damage, but I'm just looking at this like, this is the most psychotic psychotic, derivative, mishmash, hodgepodge, algorithm-driven garbage I have ever seen. Okay. They say he never carried a Confederate flag inside the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. No one died trying to stop him from using the N-word. But what Rogan and those that defend him have done since video clips of him using the N-word surface on social media is arguably just as dangerous as what a mob did. Shut your mouth, John Blake, you moron. This, you know what, man, you get me so mad. Let me tell you what this is. This is CNN saying, nobody wants to watch us anymore. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take two key phrases, Joe Rogan, January 6th, smack them together, and we're going to put it on the internet, and then Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, and we'll promote it in their algorithms. That's how it works. This is why people are losing their minds. Because what happens is you'll get some woke writer from Vice, and they'll write something like, racism is bad. And then they'll put it on the internet, and then Facebook and all these other algorithms will be like, this one seems to play really well. And then they'll make an article saying, like, police brutality is bad. And that one does well. And then they go, wait a minute, racist police brutality is racist. Now you've got two keywords or two key phrases popping up, pumping you out to the masses so you can get more and more and more and more and more views. That's the name of the game. And this is just a level of absurdity beyond absurdity. There's nothing about these two moments that are anything related to each other, but here it is. Rogan breached a civic norm that has held America together since World War II. It's an unspoken agreement that we would never return to the kind of country we used to be. That agreement revolved around the simple rule: a white person should never be able to publicly use the N-word again and not pay a price. Use the N-word. You see what happens? This is why I just say, like, don't apologize to these people. They're not being honest. Joe didn't use the N-word. Use. Okay, let's talk about what use means. To use a word would mean to take that word and apply its definition in the function of a sentence or description, right? So using the word run. If someone said to you, use the word run in a sentence, you would not say, the man speaking to the public said he would define the word run. You'd be like, that doesn't use the definition of the word in any context. You're not using it. Imagine if a kid was at a spelling bee and they were like, your word, son, is onomatopoeia. And the kid went, can you use it in a sentence? And he went, yes. The judge said the word onomatopoeia. You'd be like, what? That's not describing anything. You know, so there's a good joke about spelling bees where it's like the kid comes up and the judge is like, your word is there. And then the kid's like, okay, can you use it in a sentence? And he goes, over there was a dog that was theirs, or something like that, right? It uses both. Making a sentence, you describing a word or saying a word is not the same. I know you get it. But the point is, you see how they're lying. Any reasonable person knows that to use a slur, slurs are intended to be derogatory statements aimed at someone, and a racial slur is on racial grounds. To use it would be to cause, you know, to direct hatred towards someone with that word. Joe never did that. Not once, ever, never. Maybe, I don't know. I've never seen it because he's not that guy as far as I can tell. He has said the word. But we're in the day and age where the media will lie. And I got to be honest, I'm not so sure it really matters anymore. We're so divided, ripping each other to shreds. Do I care? The parallel economy has been born, my friends. I warned of this back in 2018. It has been born. And I don't care about what CNN says anymore. I don't care about what they write. It's like, do you read the French newspaper? You don't? Why not? Don't you care what the people of France have to say? You don't? Well, it's no disrespect to the people of France. I just don't live there. I don't know what's going on. I don't care about their perspective. It's not part of my world. So when these crackpot cultists come out and say the sky is green, I'll be like, they can believe whatever they want. It has nothing to do with me. I take a look at what's going on with real news. I take a look at what's going on with the reporters on the ground of these events. Why am I bothered with what CNN writes in their garbled Onion, newspaper, right? The CNN is basically the Onion, but not funny. Actually, I gotta admit, this one is kind of funny. A white person could never use. Yeah, well, CNN took it down. They changed it. It's the same article. Why shrugging off Joe Rogan's use of and they're trying to do it. They're just getting mocked and roasted over the sheer absurdity of this. Check this out. Joe Rogan knows. All right. Joe said the attempt to cancel him over a podcast is a political hit. I believe he said, political hit job. So Joe gets it. I get it. He says they're taking all of this stuff that I've ever said that's wrong and smushing it all together, referring to the videos that, come out. The host has already apologized, saying it looks effing horrible. It's good because it makes me address some ish that I really wish wasn't out there, he told his guest. Obviously, this is a political hit job, but with me. He knocked those who like to dig up old things you said to get you in trouble like it's a game. It's not productive. Like, if you're spending all your time trying to attack a person versus trying to be better yourself, you're not going to do as well. No, come on, man. You were right, Joe. It's a political hit job. They don't care about you. You're ancillary. The goal is to claim that American culture is deeply white supremacist and evil and racist. So they're lying about you using the N-word. That's why they're doing this in the first place. That's why apologizing was a mistake. So here's what happens. Not everybody in the world watches Joe Rogan. The Democrats and the left and his activists and super PACs are trying to convince people that America is racist. So when a video comes out of Joe Rogan saying the N-word descriptively over and over again, they cut it out of context. They then tell everyone the biggest podcast in the world host was saying these things. They don't care about what you've actually done or said. They're lying to people. Then Joe comes out and says, yo, I'm really sorry about all those things I said. And they go, see, he admitted it. He admitted it. It's not about what Joe said. It's about the fact that people liked the show. America is deeply racist. It's not Joe's, responsibility to fight for this country, its culture, or free speech or anything like that. And I mean that with complete respect. It's not. He's a guy who wants to talk about stuff and have a show. Seems like he doesn't want to be in the middle of, serious conflict, but, here it is politically because his show is so big. You can't get around it. The reality is, I think we're beyond the army building stage of this anyway. So what they're doing is they're trying to squeeze lemon juice out of a turnip. I know there's another phrase for it. There's another. That's not really the way you explain it, but I think they've just squeezed the last drop out of everything they can, and they're hoping that there are still some people they can try and convince to join their ranks. No, I think most people are totally over this. Just so done. Just so done. Man. When they come out and they say someone was offended, I'm like, there was a period where I cared that you were offended. There really, really was. I thought it was silly, and I'd say things like, yo, you got to calm down. It's not that bad. Because I treated you, as the offendees, as my brothers, my sisters, my family members, my countrymen and women. When I saw that you were hurting or offended, I'd say, no, we got to get through this. Don't be offended. Let me explain to you. Then there came to a point where I said, these people are just lying. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, dude, we're not even the same country anymore. I don't know where you live. I don't know what you do. I don't know why you believe this garbage. But what you say, think, or do has no bearing on me whatsoever. You want your blue state to have your blue state garbage mandates? Whatever, man. I live in West Virginia. We don't have any of that stuff. We live normal lives. Don't like it? Don't come here. You don't like Florida? Cry about it. You don't like Ron DeSantis? You don't live there. Shut up. I'm at that point. I think this country has been ripped asunder. So if people are going to come up and start talking about how they're offended, this, that, or otherwise, I'll be like, dude, if you're offended by this, you have nothing to do with my life. I don't go to Bernie Sanders rallies and try and sell candy bars to people to make money. I don't go to Democrat politician parties and sign autographs and shake hands. It has nothing to do with has nothing to do with anything about me. I'm over it. I'm just here to do my thing. Talk about what I care about, talk about what I believe in. But if you're in a cult, by all means, stay in your cult. I don't care. Leave me out of it. When you take a look at independent voters and Republicans, you can see that they're more in alignment with each other than Democrats. So the outgroup really is the Democrats. The crazy cult really is the Democrats. Now, they get some things right, for sure. Republicans get some things wrong. But when you look at this stuff, I'm pretty sure the 11 million people who watch each episode of Joe Rogan's show trust him more than you and don't care about your insults, smears, or lies. That's why I said apologizing was a mistake. Because I don't think it matters for the most part. But the goal is just to smear the United States as deeply racist, offensive, wrong. Joe Rogan is proof. Look at everything he said and done. But it's remarkable how people believe this. And it's remarkable how obvious it is with CNN when they do that stupid garbage. January 6th moment. Oh, please. Spare me. Are there people who really still fall for this? We're heading towards parallel economies. Parallel economies beget civil wars, man. More and more people are going to start looking for right-wing opportunities, right-leaning or freedom-oriented. Like I've been saying, don't start a show on YouTube. The risk is too high. There's no reward. There's no upside. It's almost impossible for new channels to get monetized in the first place unless you have connections. Go to Rumble. Go to Rumble where there's a growing new audience. Provide value to Rumble and help Rumble build up their library. Rumble's not perfect either. There's no guarantee you'll be safe there, but at this point, why bother signing up for a platform that would destroy your life and that is run by people who are insane? We're still here. We still use the platform, but I think it's only a matter of time. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.